Greetings and welcome, my dear friends, to Teresa, Chloe, Jody in the house. Um, I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite Creator. And I continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, and all of your relations will continue to learn how to accept and receive the healing, the knowledge, and the blessings from the universe. And I think we need to hey, Michelle, we need to put a prayer out there right away. There's a lot of unrest going on. And I want to say that in a way, I think it's unnecessary, but there's a lot of tension been built up in people. And this is a tension release. And I want to send out a prayer because there are things going on right now across the United States. And I seriously think it's a lot deeper than the gentleman being killed. Okay. I have been in prison and have been um, subject to having my face held in a fire ant bed, and I had ants all over me, and while being handcuffed, and it was really nasty. And some of these guys are so gung ho for whatever reason. Hey, Project Sky Falls. But anyway, but let's just say a prayer that these folks will stay calm, both the police and the other folk. There's some folks that are out there that are trying to use this to loot and burn and things, and that's just not it. For the folks who are just walking in the streets, be careful because you're going to be tied in with the rest of this. So I just want to say a prayer to all of those out there who are going through this turmoil and the tension. Please stay calm. For the police and for the people who are demonstrating and who are walking in the streets, please stay calm. Let's not have anything else happen. There's already been enough. So, with that said, in my title tonight, I talked about, I said cosmic update. Now, cosmic is going to be like a really big subject here. Cosmically speaking, I'm going to be talking about some alien stuff, some this and that, and cosmic energies, and hang on, okay? So for the last several weeks, I've been kind of quiet, and things here have been a lot different. The last I heard, Miss Deb was stabilized. That's as far as I know and wish to go. Um, it's been a lot different here in having to deal with things and ancient and old memories for myself. Hi, Candy Apple. How are you? Blessings your way. So, um, oh, and Cherry, how are you? See you there too, Michelle. But let's send out prayers to those who are sick. I've got several family members who aren't doing too well. And, it's just not my family, it's the family of humanity. Now, so for the cosmic updates, I check in regularly with Alfred Lavermont Weber. Can't talk to them folk right now. Alfred Lavermont Weber and some of the space things, the ancient contracts and stuff. And I wanted to bring this up because I don't know I think there are some folks out there who really don't understand some of Earth's history. Now, there's a lot of talk about the Anunnaki. Now, what if the Anunnaki weren't the bad guys? Just saying. Now, they have been and still are involved in our history, ancient history and current history, along with the Charistus and some other folks. The Christus and the Anunnaki are working together, where the Vlash and the Mater are on the opposite side, okay? And there is definitely there is a war going on spiritually, metaphysically, interdimensionally, and cosmically. It's planet-wide. And we get caught up sometimes in, the coronavirus and this and that. Now, to the point, there is a lot of, to that, up to a point. the idea that everybody's wearing masks. Last year or so, when they had some demonstrations, anybody caught with a mask was supposed to be arrested. Now everybody's wearing them. Isn't that just sort of interesting? I did a video about masks, and now some of the doctors are saying, these people who wear the mask all the time, if you're out in public and you want to go into a store, wear it for 5 minutes. But when you get back in your own vehicle and you go home, take it off. But anyway, people are having issues with breathing because breathing through a mask, it takes more energy. So you have to, easy for me to demonstrate, right? But so there's a lot of stuff going on. There are people who have been demonstrating, for example, up in Vancouver and some other places. People have just been going outside and they've been sort of keeping social distancing, but not really. And where they're saying, well, you should all stay in. And people are going, why? None of us have got sick. It's been 2 months now, going on 3, 4. There are folks around here, I've noticed when I went into the store, the local store the other day, there are folks just congregating and hanging out with each other, and nobody was wearing a mask or anything, and nobody was worried about getting sick. But it's a small town, it's a small community, even though there are people who pass through there from other cities, states, and other things. But to the point, though, people have pretty much said, there are a lot of us who are just like, okay, we'll still be careful and we'll still wash our hands, but all this other nonsense and keeping it going and everything, we kind of like, maybe not so much. And folks around here aren't really scared of it. Now, there is the other side of that coin. And why is this part of the cosmic thing? Well, because they're trying to make it. There are those factions who would want to have us all inoculated. There are those factions who want to see how we're going to react in all these different circumstances. Whether or not there actually is this killer virus, they want to see how we're going to react to it or not react. And so, everything we say and do is obviously being watched and folks are keeping an eye on it. But if you don't think they know what your habits are, people are staying home and they're talking about things and they're sharing things. So now they know a whole lot of other things, a lot. You get certain types of seeds and things you can't get, certain plants, people have planted so much that, there's not enough to go around, which I think it's a good thing. But now, cosmically speaking, I'm not going to go into the Anunnaki and everything and all that, because there's a lot of stuff out there. But remember this: the people who won the war get to write the history. Okay, and for those of you who have been listening to Dante, Dante DSAHK. If you've been watching his videos or are aware of him and understand, the Anunnaki, have been sort of been made the scapegoat for everything, and for someone to say, well, and all lizards are bad lizards. That's like saying all snakes are bad snakes. All snakes are poisonous, or, it's a snake, kill it. That's what a lot of people think. So in this idea of reptilianism or whatever, there are reptilian-looking type entities that aren't bad. Now, that's not to say that, all this other stuff, but we have been so brainwashed from the people who claim to be part of the UFO conspiracy stuff into the Greys are like this and this is like that and all aliens are like that. Listen, there are thousands of races of aliens, okay? Some of them just globs, that kind of float around. Some of them are like squids or octopi, the Kraken. And so there are a lot of different types of critters. Look at how many critters there are on this planet. Just look up in the sky and realize there are that many more critters in the universe. So we should not be so closed-minded. However, the good guys and the bad guys are fighting. And I mean, recently, there's some video out there where there were hundreds of vehicles leaving the planet Earth. I mean, they were like just, satellite video of spaceships leaving the planet. Now, why would they want to leave? Well, if they're kind of neutral or not really good or not really bad or these folks are getting out of the way because there's some shooting going on right now. Now, I did a video. It's been several years ago, but I saw one vehicle shoot down another one with a laser beam. It was wild. I was like, what? Now, if I hadn't seen it with my own two eyes, I would still be skeptical. But after having seen it, having seen things being blown up in the middle of the night and wash across the sky, and I am here to tell you, they ain't no meteors that do that kind of stuff. For us to think that there is just this quote pandemic and our own little issues with the money and jobs, that's all important. But there is a lot more going on right now. A lot more going on right now. A lot more going on right now. And so there are people shooting at people in other places because they're part of the Charistus, the Azazians. There are a lot of Christus hybrids. And we're all in this war. We're all working, for those of us, I think. I don't want to necessarily include you in this, but most of the members of the League of Like-Minded Beings are working for a cause. Now, I've stated my position about what my cause is. I'm working for Mother Mary. I'm working for the goddess in the sense of the motherhood of the universe and of the planet. We've got to get all these wacky guys that only want war to get the mess out of here. We got to stop this mess. There needs to be a better balance of the yin and yang. There's always going to be somebody who's going to want to fist fight with somebody else. But do we have to kill each other over it? Can we not? We can have discord. We can have disagreement between us, but do we have to kill each other? The answer is quite simply no. This is not the Old West, although there are a lot of people who would like to try to bring that back. Shoot first and ask questions later. Now, so from the cosmic standpoint, there were ancient contracts, as in like a contract between two companies. I'm going to buy your product and you're going to sell it to me at this price, and I'm going to make my product and I'm going to sell it, but it ain't got nothing to do with you unless your product sucks. But you make a contract. So peace agreements, peace accords. Okay, now there's a lot of information going back to the time of Eisenhower, when the aliens supposedly came after World War II and flew over, the White House and all that kind of stuff. Okay, but so here's the deal. There's a lot of information that says that some kind of deal was struck by somebody and some other folk. Okay. So what did they say? What did they sign? And who were they signing it for? Now, if it was Ike Eisenhower and he's signing, he's thinking, we just come out of a war and here, now I got spaceships flying over the Capitol and we sent Admiral Byrd down to the South Pole and there were some spaceships down there that whooped our collective butts. And now what do? I'm going to have to do something. All right. Now, what did he do? What's the secrecy? What's all the stuff going on? Now, but here's the thing. What about previously? What about the Egyptians? What about ancient Greece? What about a lot of other stuff? There were a lot of, excuse me, a lot of the information, legends. Mankind made deals with the gods, Zeus and all them folk, right? Well, there's a lot of information that would suggest that maybe Zeus and them were actually aliens being portrayed as, etc. You know the drill. But here's the thing. There were ancient contracts made on this planet before mankind ever really knew what was going on. It goes back to the Lemurians, to the Lyrians. It goes back before the Anunnaki. This planet has been here a long time. And there are a lot of people who have, come to this planet and stuck a flag in it, much like people who go up on Mount Everest. Oh, by the way, a little side note. I saw this video on Pluto TV, but on one of the channels, and it was how the Sherpas were going up the mountain and how many tons of garbage are spread literally from the top of Mount Everest, 23,000 feet down. All kinds of junk and stuff, and people, dead bodies and corpses and gear and things, and they pack it up, but they don't bring it down. And so there is a big move for people who climb the mountain to take their crap home with them by the tons. People taking wine bottles at 23,000, 22,000 feet. Come on, folks. If you're going to climb a mountain, then just climb it. Take a little flask of something and take a nip. But anyway, it's gotten out of hand. But anyway, but in the grand scheme of the universe, there are so many other beings out there. And I've seen the spaceships. I've tried to take pictures of it. Miss Deb took a little short video, and it was actually pretty accurate. This thing floating around and then disappearing. And, so we all know pretty much there's stuff up there. Now, but what are they doing down here? They're trying to affect things. Yes, that is the truth. The bad guys, the Vlash and the Mater, they want to make sure that everybody stays in chaos. They're the folks trying to create the chaos. The folks who are trying to get us out of the chaos. Hey, Mother Nature, much love. I haven't seen you around lately. I hope you're doing all right. Continued prayers and cosmic hugs sent your way. And Robert V, you did a great job tonight. It was great listening to you. Thank you so much. And I'm not going to read. I just see y'all's names going by. I'm going to try to stay out of the conversation for the moment. I want to get this out. But anyway, so the cosmic update is a lot of things. Our magnetosphere is weak. That's, the magnetic thing. I've noticed, for example, the sun coming in this window over here, it's early. It's a whole month early. And there are some wobbling going on with the planet still. But it's been so overcast down here, I haven't been able to make absolute accurate sightings of certain constellations. But there's one, and I'm not, anyway, it looks like three fingers like this, and it comes down anyway. It's been positioned like this, and then sometimes it's turned this way, and sometimes it's really high up on the sky, and other times it's down below the trees over here. So I can tell you that the wobble is still going on. That's a fact. There's been some strange earthquakes in places. We ain't done yet with these cosmic stuff. We've got sunspots showing up on the sun again, which is sort of a normal thing, but it's been a long time since one was there. That's interesting. We haven't been getting eat up so much with the CMEs and stuff like that, but we have been getting some hellacious cosmic energies from the sun and from other locations, from behind us and from the side. We're getting smacked. But now, this thing with the aliens and ancient contracts, I bring this up because it needs to be brought up for many of you who may not have dove into this, and I've been aware of it for, 10, 12, 15 years now. And I've been watching Alfred Levermont Weber for a long time and other things, and his policies, politics, and so forth. He was around during the Kennedy administration and things, and Hubert Humphrey and stuff. So he's been around for a long time. And I've been listening and watching Albert for a long time. And so there are folks who have an international council. Now, what makes it worth anything? It's a lot of smart people who have got together and said, you know what, the UN is being controlled by other factions. They have, years ago, they started their own council, if you will, sort of a united council, and to look into, try to, bring awareness to different people and other places and stuff. Anyway, so these folks have been, helping, I would say, the cause, not necessarily exactly for the Charistus, but the cause of humanity. They're working for human beings. they also tell human beings we need to work together, not only with ourselves, but with these higher beings. Now, each one of us, we've talked about dimensions and different time streams and so forth. Well, the subject is back. In that, think about some of the things that have been happening here recently, like with the virus, the close down, the shutdown, people and wearing masks everywhere. You know the drill. Does it seem like we've jumped into a different reality all of a sudden? I mean, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, at the turn of the year, did any of us foresee this? The answer is no. We knew there were a lot of us who said there's something coming, but we didn't know what. Well, here's an interesting thing, for example. A lot of the old money's been taken up because people have used their cash and this, that, and the other thing. If you go to an ATM machine, there's only new bills coming out. There used to be some old bills, new bills. They're all new bills. It's like, well, what? Just saying. The Federal Reserve, and there's things going on. Well, banks aren't required to have a certain percentage of money in the bank. They can give out all the money they want to. They don't have, as part of the deal for federal banks and state banks too, depending. You have to have a certain amount of money in the bank. You can only loan out so much, but there must be a certain amount of capital that stays within the bank. The Federal Reserve says, "Nah, we're gonna let that slide for now." What? The economic things that are going on, there's going to be some changes now. Cosmically, who's pushing the buttons with this? Well, the bad guys are trying to push for our demise. They want to see the population drop. They want people to check out, clock out, and otherwise make a nuisance. They want to keep the chaos going. Now, I want to make this clear. I don't think that the majority of people who are involved with hey, Mary Wins, with the with the stuff that's going on right now in Atlanta, in Houston, and Dallas, and Los Angeles. It's going on right now as I'm speaking. I think most of the people are just tired of the BS, and they're tired of being locked up. And whether or not they're actually about this police action, it's showing the world how many of us we're just fed up. Is this the Great Awakening? Aha! From the cosmic sense, what would wake up humanity? What would give a humanity a kick in the rear? Something like what's going on right now, right? So here we are at this present moment in time. Where do we take it? Now, there are folks who are held down, died, and choked in incarceration all the time. I've been incarcerated more times than I wish to discuss. Many of you know I spent a year in prison, and I've been in jail several other times for mostly drugs. But there was arrested one time, got away by this big burly guy that slugged a cop down in Tampa one year. That the year before I moved out. And don't go back much. But anyway, so this idea of what the policemen do, it is very true. You should see some of the guards in the prisons. They beat guys up for having a pencil. Anyway, so it is a very real subject, okay? It is a very real problem. But burning down the police station is not the answer. Maybe handcuffing all of the cops together, and not letting them go to the bathroom, or putting them all in a cell together and let them use one steel toilet with no toilet paper. Let them live in there for a week or a month, but burn down the police station and do all this looting. Now that's a poor excuse. Now, do I think that the bad guys are trying to control this? Not necessarily. I think that it's the bad guys are going, hey, look, he. No, I think it's most of us who are just pissed off at being literally trodden on, need in the head, need in the gut, our rights taken away. It just isn't right. And those people who think I'm a cop, so I can do what the law says. Well, the law doesn't say hold the guy down with your knee and with his face on the pavement. I had my head and shoulders held down in an ant bed. I had, fire ants all over me. And the only reason the guy let me up was because the ants got on him. But the thing is do they do that? Oh, yes, they do. And it's a lot worse. But anyway, cosmically, there are folks watching how we deal with this. So should we stand up for ourselves? A lot of them up there are saying, oh, hell yeah. Stand up for yourself, but it doesn't mean burn down the town or loot. It doesn't mean that. So people who are looting other folks on the street should stop them. How about that one? Now, they probably get their butt kicked, but if enough people on the street said, hey, cut that out. Well, you shouldn't do that. This is a peaceable demonstration. So if we police ourselves and tell the cops to go, they should be there to protect us, not to beat us up, handcuff us, and haul us off to jail because they set a curfew and you just happen to be the weak one of the herd that we got. The rest of them are still out on the street, but we got you, mofo, and we're taking you to jail. I was listening to this on live just before I started this live stream. I was keeping an eye on what they were doing. And some of these cops are gung-ho mofos, and I'm here to tell you, them guys need to be given another job. They should be given a shovel, and they should shovel shit for the rest of their life and not be allowed to wear a badge or a gun or anything else. That's my personal opinion. They had this redheaded lady with her face down on the concrete, and he had his foot on her head. And when he picked her up, he literally snatched her up, and she flew around. She's got her arms behind her back, and she's screaming, "What are you doing this for?" And it was not necessary. But because of the heat of the moment, and I'm the boss and you're not, regardless of who that is. So we must curb our anger. We must stand up, yes, but not in violent. Now, when on Milky Way Weeklies, where they were talking, Milky Messenger. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about, Brian. Why didn't somebody go over there and smack that cop in the head and knock his ass out? The other guy was already handcuffed. Where was he going to go? So, but the thing is when we step in, that puts us in a Wild West situation. And how many of us we're going to stand there and videotape it, but the guy died. Didn't anybody rush over? I remember a time when I was in jail, there was an inmate who had seizure medicine. They didn't give him his medicine, much like they did me years later. And this guy was going through a grand mal seizure. And I'd worked with folks during grand mal seizures. So we're banging, the other inmates are banging on the cell. This guy's dying, he's choking. He was choking. But I had him, he was between two metal toilets, and he was slinging around and banging his head on both of these toilets. And I had drug him out, and somebody had given me one of their pillows. And we were trying to calm him down and keep him from harming himself. I didn't have anything to do his air. You usually have a thing that you put in their throat if it's really bad, so they don't swallow it, so they can breathe. But you never stick your finger down there. So we were looking for a toothbrush or something to help keep his airway open while he was having a seizure. And the guards came in and they start throwing me around in this, and the other guy was like, "Oh, he'll be okay." And I was like, "No, he's not." And I pushed the guard out of the way. Yeah, I did. And said, "You don't know what the hell you're doing. I've worked with these patients. This man's going to suffocate if you don't get his airway clear. You need one of those things. I know you got one. It's in the thing. Now, who are you?" And I was like, "Would you shut up? I know about this. Go help this guy." And he wants to argue with whether or not I should help this choking victim on the floor of the, you know. So I have been there, and you have to intervene. That cop was that jailer was pissed at me for a while, and I kind of got back at him. But anyway, in a roundabout way. Anyway, they sent the warden up and asked me whether or not he had acted appropriately, and I told the warden what happened. And later on, me and the warden became buddies, and the warden actually went to bat for me to stay there in the jail. Anyway, but so I got my, if you want to call revenge, I got it. But it was his own actions that created whatever happened to him. He got put on suspension and sent to another jail. He didn't get fired, and that wasn't a firing offense, but he did not act appropriately as he should have in an emergency situation. That was the bottom line. And the guy was only in there for drunkenness, and come to find out, the reason he wasn't actually drunk, he had missed his medicine. He was having seizures. They picked him up for drunkenness because they, quote, smelled beer on him. And they threw him in jail, and then he damn near died in there because of lack of medicine and not understanding about mental conditions and seizures. Anyway, moving on. So the Azazians and the Anunnaki and them folks, the Charistas, they're on our side. And whether or not you look back through the ancient times and the ancient contracts with, our planet, this planet, our solar system and other solar systems, between us and Jupiter and us and Saturn, and who knows. But there are ancient contracts, and some of these folks are back here to collect. Now, a couple of years ago, the Queen went over and she did this, and the Pope came over at about the same time when Obama was in there. And there was a lot of fanfare as to where the Pope went and what he was doing. And supposedly, the United States was given our rights back from the church. Don't know about that. But things have been evolving since then. And, for those of you who may not like Trump, he's done a lot more good than bad. And he wants to get people back out again and open some things back up. There are a lot of people that took his advice 3 or 4 weeks ago on their own initiative that, hey, we need to be careful, but some of this stuff is just hokey hoax stuff, and we need to not play into that. So whether you like him or not, I think he and a lot of other people are starting to wake up and go, he kind of handled this pretty good under the circumstances. I know I still got that $1,200 he sent me in the bank that's going to help me put a new roof on part of my house and shed. So, and I could really use it because the government cheated me out of thousands of dollars of my retirement fund way back. But, that's for another story. But anyway, so cosmically, there are more sightings of UFOs, and I'm talking big ass craft just hovering, and they're cloud formations. There are whole fleets coming in and being seen down in Mexico, in Brazil, over in Italy, and over at many places over in Europe and in Russia and places like that. And so whatever is going on is going on, my friends. Now, I swear to you, I have no inside track to any of this other than we as a human population are being observed. Now, watched. Now, these folks, how do we handle certain situations? Are we going to kill each other, or are we going to reach out and help each other? Well, during this pandemic, rather than kill each other, it's been more help. Now there's this incident that's happened now and all the stuff that's currently going on right now. Let's pray these folks will just calm down and go home. If you feel like walking down the street. Now, if I lived in the city, I'd probably want to do it too for many reasons. But the last thing I'd want to do is like start a fire, riot, or take a gun or anything. But to the point, if I had a permit to carry one, I would. Just saying. Because it's my constitutional right. All right, so what about some other stuff? Well, the church is doing some weird things, and there's some more information that are like on the back channels about the Pope and certain secrets And boy, if you think the Vatican's got secrets, oh yeah. I mean, back in the day, the Vatican and Hitler were actually working together on some of those old secrets. Okay. Um, if none of you have heard of Father Malachi Martin, I would suggest you look him up, look up some of his old radio interviews and what he knew about the Vatican, the demonology and the nastiness going on in the Vatican, and the subversiveness that's going on within the church. And why the Catholic Church has taken such a bad hit. And it's their own damn fault, but the idea, though, that things are still coming out. There's information that, Hillary has actually been, is really still under investigation. And that there are still people from the Obama administration that are really now being questioned. And that there are things actually happening. And the pedophilia and things like that are being kept in the at least in the underground movement. I say, not the mainstream media. We need to keep this up because there is still trafficking going on. There are still people eating each other, for whatever reasons, and there's still some horrific and horrible things going on. But since the children are more at home and more protected, it's slowed down. Not to say that it's stopped, but it has slowed down. And so there is that faction who wants to keep us in chaos. Remember, stay out of that chaos, my friends. We have to be the compassionate observers. We have to pay attention, but we got to keep our emotions out of this slimy mess, because otherwise our energy will help to fuel it. And we all know we don't want that. So what about these contracts? What can we do about these contracts? We don't know about most of them. We have no idea what Eisenhower did back in the day, or what has transpired since then, or thousands, if not maybe millions of years before that. So we need to understand that there are people who lay claim to this planet we know nothing about. For example, I bought this piece of property, but I can't tell you whether or not I own the mineral rights or this, that, the other thing. There's this and blah, blah, blah. There's a river in my backyard. Yeah, there's all kinds of things. But the government can change their mind and go, well, any water that's touched and blah, blah, blah is subject to. And, so it's like, So what used to not be a law down here is now the law. And it's like, so what do I do now? Well, I've lived my life down here, but now the law's changed. Well, it wasn't that way for 35 years, but now going on 40, it's changed. So what am I going to do about it? Am I going to bitch and complain? Well, if I could get it changed, there has to be enough people. So we complain about it without burning down the courthouse or lynching anybody, which some of these folks around here, they kind of were sort of into that down here in the day. But we need to lynch them in the respect that we need to choke their voice. We need to shut them up with their stupidness. Well, we need more control. You already got control. You take my taxes, you do my this, you reevaluate them without giving me just notification or reasons why you doubled my property tax because you needed the extra money. Okay, but somehow my property is somehow more valuable. That's not true. They think it is, but if I were to try to sell it, I couldn't get anywhere near what they value it at. Something's wrong. Well, I was in the middle of working on that when this pandemic came through. They shut down all the government offices, and now it's past time for me to make the complaint because you have to make it in so many days so they have a chance to come out and double check, blah, blah, blah. So that means at the end of, now that this has transpired, I still have to pay the same amount of taxes as I did last year because I didn't complain early enough because their offices were closed. Well, okay, the government gave me $1,200. I'm going to shut up this year and not bitch about it too much. But they caught me in a bind. Thank goodness I got extra money. So now I'm going to just take some of that money and put it back. That's going to be for my taxes. Okay, fine. All right. But in reality, the county made money off of this deal because I couldn't get there. Not their fault. But you see my point. So there are circumstances that the local governments and places and people, well, yes, not my fault you couldn't make it here on time. The governor, the president, but you didn't make a. We're going to have to work through this. There are so many different levels of this, though, of understanding. So we've got our personal, we've got, what's going on in our front yard, we've got what goes on with our neighbors, and then it goes outward. But most of us just, forget, our city, county, state, United States. We need to think more in terms of planetary things. Now, should we be worried? We should be worried when the bad guys want to take advantage of us. We need to stand up and go, sorry, guys. Cheers. I'm working for the good guys. I'm going to do what I can. Do I know anything all about the inner workings of the Azazians or the Christus? No. But I do know this. I am working for the cause. Why? Because I want to. Because I want to help other people, because I wish to do good, because I wish to put forth prayers, because I want the mother goddess, I want Mother Nature to be in control again and not being controlled by all these nasty, bad, evil, wicked, mean people who, in a lot of respects, are hybrids from the Fleisch and the Mater, okay? So there are those of us who are, one could say that we're Palladian or we're this, and there's the Draco. Well, not all Dracos are bad. Just because, somebody says, well, everybody from Venus is a slut or, something, whatever. But the thing is, Venus, the goddess of love, blah, blah, anyway. So, but there may be one on the planet, but that doesn't mean, it goes back to the other thing. All horses are animals, but not all animals are horses. That's it. So what the other beings in other dimensions and etc., and those folks watching us, they want to see whether or not we qualify to belong with them. Does what we do on a daily basis fit their cause? And the cause is simple: help other people to be more, in tune with nature, to do all these things and to be more productive. Yeah, we can stop and, have a party and have a good time, but do we have to be drunk and disorderly and fight and tear up stuff? No. Can you have a couple of glasses of wine and everybody sing and have a good? Yes, and we should. We should rejoice in life and with life. But for those folks who wish to use all of these things, and there are drugs that I should take that help me out. But then there are drugs that I have taken, and I've talked about this, that made me nuts and crazy and gave me tardive dyskinesia. Oh, now they have a word for the ticking and the weirdness, and you can't keep your feet still. So after years of taking the drugs to help my mental condition, supposedly, I now have a tardive dyskinesia thingy going on. Oh boy, but I kind of already knew that. But now they got a name for it. Other people are suffering from it, and that's shameful. It's the medicines we take to make us feel better or to help keep us in check or whatever is now over long-term use. And that was one reason why I decided to get off my meds, is because of the long-term after effects. And, okay, don't want that, you know what I mean? But anyway, so how are we going to react with this? So the folks up above are keeping an eye on us. They're watching us. Do you want to work for the cause? I already am. Do I know about who's doing what and everything? No, but I can smell a rat when a rat's nearby. You know what I mean? You can smell a skunk if he's in the neighborhood, you know. And there are entities out there that are coming back to this planet to try, I guess, as um, well, basically as hitmen to take out some of the higher leaders um, that are trying to make good changes across the planet, not just locally, but for the whole mess, for the whole business. But so when we say our prayers for each other, there are groups of folks out there that are literally getting their ass shot out of the sky. They're getting pulverized and obliterated in some of these wars and some of the explosions and things that I have witnessed. Oh, and I mean here on Earth, you know, witness. I don't mean in some kind of, you know, astral. That's a whole nother story there. But so I want you all to understand there is a lot more going on. Now, do you need to know the ins and out of it? You know, do we need to know what contracts are signed by whom and who did what and who promised this? No. We just need to know that agreements were made over the last million years or so. And that if we think because we were born and we're walking around this planet, that we have a claim to stake simply because we were born here, other folks don't necessarily think about it that way, like the Queen. You know, the Queen still has all her little, probably Canada still ruled by the Queen, you know, so, but shouldn't Canada govern themselves? Screw the Queen, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, God save the Queen, blah, 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 blah. But isn't that just a little like, why? England's this little island over here, and here's Canada. So you know they don't want to give up their province. No, can't. Oh, Canada, da, 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 da. We love the Queen. Da, 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 da. Anyway, things are changing. The politics are changing. There are certain treaties and contracts and other things, and they need to be brought out. The secret stuff is some of that. It's hidden in the Vatican. There were things and agreements and hidden in the Vatican. Why not put them in the catacombs? Well, we built a big old church on top of it, and nobody's going to want to go crawling around under there, especially if we don't tell them. So, okie dokie. So, sounds like a plan to me, right? So, that's what the Catholic Church has been doing so they can keep the narrative as they want. But now the narrative has exploded. We have cell phones, we have this medium right here. Bless you all and thank you. Cheers, my friends, for showing up and participating and just understanding. You know, there are certain things that like I could talk about, but I just know them from in here is like, you know, after having seen things in the sky and, you know, battles going on, I got to tell you, this stuff is real, you know, and but we should concern ourselves enough to pray for the good guys. You know what I mean? We pray for the folks who are trying to help out with child trafficking. Well, some of that child trafficking is tied in with the flesh and the mater because they want to take folks off planet. They do that sort of thing. So when we're praying against trafficking, we're praying that we stop these other alien critters and influences from being allowed to continue on this planet. So shouldn't we say hip hip hooray for the angels and anybody else that's working for us on our behalf? We should say thank you to the universe and to literally the angels and the Charistas and the Anunnaki and and there are other folks out there that are helping them out. There are elementals, for example, that are helping out. They're interdimensional beings who have had enough of some of this And because of the conflicts and things, it's affecting other dimensions. The 5G, I've talked about it before. There are spider beings and other types of beings in out of phase from us. But some of these 5G towers and some of this high electrical um, power consumption thing, it's messing with these entities from other dimensions. They're not here to harm us, but what we're doing is affecting them. And so is 5G hurting people? Well, they got them all over in South Georgia. How they got here as quick as they did, they're all over the place. But I'm down here at the bottom of the hill, so the towers are kind of up here as far as I'm concerned. But there are other people who live right next door to, within a half a mile of a damn thing. They didn't plan on that, did they? In the long scheme of things. So what are these things doing to us? What are these 5G energy waves doing? What are all these radio frequencies doing? People are worried about 5G, but they hold the phone up next to their head. It'll give you cancer quicker than the 5G will. But they hold it up to their head. They stick it in their pocket. Guys put it in their pants next to their crotch. We don't need any more babies. Stick that cell phone down in your pants. And let's see, how many babies won't get born after this. Of course, with some of these younger folks, I'm like, I don't want to. They're going to be a parent. You know what I'm saying? I know my parents had doubts about me being a parent, but I've learned a few things over the years. But we do the best we can under the circumstances, and I did the best I could under my circumstances. Anyway. But so the cosmic energies, yes, they're fluctuating. Yes, we're getting nailed. Yes, all these other things have not. Well, a couple of days ago, the Schumann res was off the charts. Now, a couple of hours ago, the Schumann was off the charts. But it doesn't seem to have gone into anything that's overly wacky. Have we had some... oh, my dog. What? It's a kitty cat outside. I haven't pet him yet. Oh, Duggar, come on now. Calm down. Yeah, I know. But he's been a good dog. Monday will be 4 weeks. He'll be here. So, but what we need to do, though, is figure out, how do we move from this point forward? What have we learned? Well, each of us has learned our own stuff about this. Well, how much we really need. Maybe I should not necessarily, take all the toilet paper, but maybe I should be a little bit more conservative. Maybe I should do more conservative. Maybe I should try this a little bit. We're all going to we have already, every one of us, reevaluated our own situations at some point during this event. So, but now what do we want to do from here on out? Now, that's what the folks upstairs are going to be watching. And of course, everybody else too. But so we pick something. Well, I've learned this much. I think I'm going to continue, my vegetables. I think I'm going to continue container growing. I think I'm going to continue to help out with this food bank over here. I got a little extra, I can put it over here. Maybe I'm going to, call old people on the phone and see how they're doing. Whatever it is that you can do in your own reality. And you don't have to go out with a sword and save the world, but you may have to step in and say, wait a minute, somebody should have clocked that cop in the head who was choking the other guy. Just saying. I don't think I could have just stood there on the curb and watched it happen. And I would have been in jail at the moment, but maybe the other guy wouldn't be dead. But anyway, I'm sure there's other things to it. They're supposedly work together. My point is, I've seen enough abuse in my lifetime, in my situations. It's rampant, okay? And something needs to change about it. But human nature, we train these guys to be gung-ho and to be strong. They don't teach jailers to be compassionate towards the prisoners. They're prisoners. They broke the law. So therefore they must be punished. So, whether you're, but you should see the abuse before you are charged with it. Doesn't mean you have been found guilty. A lot of abuse comes during the period of time when you're arrested, and by the time you finally are, convicted. A lot of people get hurt during then. After you're convicted, now they can hold that over you. And unless you're a complete turd, they kind of leave you alone. But the folks between that, like, it took them 3 months for me to finally go to court. Okay. Swift justice, right? And then, well, we can hold you as long as we want to. We got all this stuff, and we caught you with the drugs, and we caught you. And so you're in jail. You ain't getting out. And I didn't, but nobody would post my bail bond, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, but to the point though, when they got you, they got you. And unless you got a big old ass legal team or something, or know somebody in the system, you ain't getting out. And, money talks and all that stuff. But, unless you've got an inside track, you're there. So what we need to understand is we don't want to put any of us in that position. We don't want other people to be in that position. We don't want to put other people in that position. So if I'm going to go demonstrate, I'm going to try to, if somebody's going to do something stupid, I'm going to try to step in and go, you really shouldn't throw that rock, unless the police are choking somebody to death. Maybe then. But you know what I mean? So we need to understand restraint. But at the same time, the angels and folks are watching our behavior. Are we going to stand up for ourselves and say, we've had enough of this crap without being violent about it? That's the ticket. Appropriate force where necessary. Beating up a cop because he beat up somebody else, it's revenge. But, and I have to say this on the side, sometimes it's necessary, but, if you beat up a cop, he's just going to be more pissed off when he gets unbeaten up, But anyway, so my friends, I want you to be careful. Keep your head together. Look up to the sky. Look in the clouds. Look what's, some of these shelf clouds and some of these things. I've been watching the radar, and there's some really strange radar just popping up here and there and doing stuff really odd. Earth changes, they're still here. So hang on, folks. Summertime's coming. There's already been 2 named storms, and hurricane season doesn't officially start until the 1st of June. Pay attention. We've got an early season. Has the earth rolled around a little bit? I kind of think it has, but I've been discussing this for years. We're still in the wobble, all right? We're wobbling like this. Sorry, flat earthers, but maybe the camera, anyway. But the best thing we can do is stay healthy, stay calm, and be aware of the situation. So this is sort of just a generalized things. You can go down these other rabbit holes with Albert Lamont Weber and Laura Eisenhower and Patty Greer and all these other folks that I've been keeping tabs with over the years. Simon Parks, a lot of other folks, okay? And you say, well, these people are, but they got information. And when I see things myself and they say, I have to go, well, how much of this, do I sit and talk about Simon Parks all the time? No. Do I sit and talk about Dante all the time? No. Do I sit and talk about anybody all the time? No, but I will refer you to them and do your own homework and judge for yourselves. But over the many years of following these people, these are the folks when oh crap. I used to trust David Wilcox, but not so much anymore. He still has good information, but I don't trust his intel. He's been compromised, okay? As I was compromised 6 months ago, some things happened here to me, and I was compromised. I got some bad intel, and I did not sit well with that. That's why I went sort of quiet and got a little dark there for a little while, because I got some bad intel, and I let them know I was not happy with that mess. But there are a lot of things that we've been promised that have not shown up. But there are certain things that are starting to unfold that we were promised was going to happen 12 years ago. Well, the monetary things are changing. Well, how we look at it, things are changing. How they're going to come out, not sure. But this event has caused a ripple in the time-space continuum, and things are not going to be the same from here going forward. How it works out, we need to participate, okay? We need to let our opinions be known to those that matter, because otherwise, how are we going to change it? They will drag us back to where we were. None of us want that. Okay, my friends, I love you. Let me check. Candy, I'm glad. Teresa, how are you? Uh, Thank you, Candy. Delaney, I see you're out there. Time for bed. Good night. I'm fixing to. You're in Tennessee. I'm fixing to say good night too. Thanks, Sophie. Project Skyfalls, Chloe. Robert says we live in a beta, and when you sleep, you go to alpha, but in a cave, you go there without sleep, but in a cave. Jody says, as though I never, millennia, we're all not ready. Well, let's put this in a perspective. Men who go to war. Now, I missed the draft. I couldn't join because of my knee. But you don't know necessarily how to kill anything unless you go shoot. You can shoot at targets with a gun, but until you kill your first animal. So until you're in the situation, you never know if you can deal with the situation. Now, the times that I've been stuck in the swamp and in bad weather, I was watching the river from these thunderstorms we've had these last 2 days. We had a really good rain yesterday and today, or the day before yesterday and today. We got about 1.5 inches today. Well, during that time, I've been down on the river when we've had a good rain like this and had the river come up 1.5 to 2 feet in a couple of hours. Well, today I watched it, and sure enough, the river went from about 2.5 feet to 6 feet in less than 2 days. Now you say, well, that's flooding. That is flash flooding. But the thing is, though, it's not really necessarily flash. I was in Arkansas, and it rained 10 miles away, and the river came up 2 foot. Oh, well, that was interesting. It was on the screen, but it wasn't in the room. Wow. We got fairies running around again, and sprites and nymphs and things like that. Anyway, but so I can, as a Boy Scout, I can be prepared, but I won't know until I get in a situation, because each situation is different. If somebody's going to fire a gun at you, are you going to react? Are you going to duck? Are you going to throw somebody out of the way? If you're in heavy traffic or an accident is about to happen, you don't know. But all you can do is prepare yourself so that you can react in a more positive way versus stand there and scream and go, ah, and then the monster eats you, I'm sorry, pick something up, put a chair in his mouth. People standing in the kitchen and the monster comes in to eat him. Why don't you shove a chair in the guy's mouth or in the monster's mouth? Anyway. But to the point, though, what we react and how we react to situations. So, Jody, sort of to your point, none of us are ready. None of us. But we can do the best to prepare, and we're going to learn real quick. Allow ourselves to be adaptable. Allow ourselves, like in the Boy Scouts, if something happens, you got something. And if you have enough information about something, for example, if I didn't have any twine and I broke my leg or something like that and I needed a splint, and I didn't have any rope, did you know that there are certain trees that have roots that make excellent cordage? If you can't find a vine, there are lots of trees with roots. But how many people would think about using a root for a rope or a cordage or something, So, but if you learn these other things, then you have them at your disposal. So I talk about some of these things that are a little sketchy and out there, but at least it gives you an idea. There's more going on than anybody, most folks are talking about. And unless you know about these other people and stay in contact with them, um, there are those entities who want us to have our planet back. They want to turn it over to us. But have we learned enough to take control of it ourselves? And some of the benevolents are going, I don't think so. These people are still acting like little kids over here. We give them, we give them technology and they blow each other up. No, not part of the prime objective, going back to the Star Trek thing. So, we don't do these things, but if we show them you're going to give us Tesla technology over 100 years ago, but we're going to use it for radar, or we're going to use it to go to other dimensions. No, we're going to use it to give free energy to the planet. But people go, well, I don't know, so all these 5G towers, what if those were energy? Could we tap into that? You know what I'm saying? So that instead of just getting good cell phone, we're getting electricity out of the air. You know what I'm saying? Ain't that kind of weird? They'll put up a 5G towers to make money off of us, but they won't put up the same towers to give us free energy as is in Tesla. So this information that we have, so they can give us all the good stuff, but how do we use it? Well, we're going to show you how to make a bow and arrow so you can kill a deer or a buffalo. And we're going to show you how to use flint, which, by the way, is still one of the sharpest tools on the planet, flint. So, you can skin out a critter. We can do this and that. And the Native Americans and many native cultures, they use every part of every animal. The bones are used for things, the feathers, the hides, And people who say, yeah, but they worship them. No, they don't. They give them respect and honor. And I've spoke about this before, but to the point that somebody says, well, I got a gun, so I can go out and shoot critters. Well, the Native Americans, they kill buffalo. Yeah, and sometimes they'd run them off the cliff and, that was mad. Yeah, if there's, 500,000 buffalo running across the plains, you just don't go, yo, stop, guys. When sometimes things get happening and the outcome isn't necessarily what you wanted. But to the point, though, many Native Americans cultures always prayed before they took the kill. The war drums. They all danced around the fire because they were asking Creator to give them the courage and the strength to defeat their oppressors. And so, but wait a minute, those people are savages. Yeah, but who killed whom? And the reason that scalping became popular amongst the Indians was because there was a bounty put out to white men, black also, but for every scalp brought in, they got money for it. The Indians didn't start the scalping. The white men did because they could get money for somebody's hair. Think about it. What good did it do the Native Americans? Well, they might scalp somebody because of this or that, but I mean, the popularity of it scalping, it was in retribution. But anyway, there's a lot to that as well. So they give us information to how do we use it. They give us knowledge. How do we use it? Do we use it to control other people, or do we use it to become together as a group, as the League of Like-Minded Beings, to produce a more productive and harmonious planet? That's where I'm at. So, my friends, I know you all have hung out with me this long. Thank you. My prayers continue to go out to you. Project Skyfall's Robert V. The French started the scalp bounty. Yeah. Now, there were other Indian tribes. Now, I go back to the Iroquois and some of them, and back before the settlers got here. they scalped them, but it was more of, they didn't scalp everybody. They went and scalped the leader and said, I got the chief's head, kind of thing, So there was some of that going on, but as far as going in and scalping all the settlers, nah, that was revenge. There was nothing anyway. But to your point, Robert. Yes, Michelle, Project Skyfalls, Robert V as always, Teresa, Candy Apple. If you're still here, I think she went to bed. Thank you, Michelle, Candy, Teresa. Going back up here, Delaney, if you're still there, Jody, if you're still hanging around. Blessings, my friends. It's been a little strange here, having lost my roommate, but now I'm stuck with things that don't belong to me, and now what do I do? So that's an issue that's like really strange and scratching my head, and I got my own stuff to deal with. Now I have to try to be careful and humble and treat someone else's effects and things, but I don't know what to do. So I have been in this really weird state of, what the hell, where am I? What am I doing? What is my next step? But things are moving along. Me and the dog are getting things done. And we haven't been to the river yet, but we've had thunderstorms the last 2 days, but now the water's up, time to go back to the river. So my blessings, my friends, stay safe, stay calm as much as you can. Stay out of the chaos. Remember that. I love you all. I do. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for being part of this tribe. Thank you for sharing. And remember, if somebody asks you, are you working for the cause? And if you say, well, I'm working because I'm working for the cause to help people. I'm working for the cause to help overcome hunger. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're working, then you have inside information. But if you're working for the cause of love, humility, humanity, you're working with the rest of us. Keep up the good word. Thank you, my friends. And until next time, keep it between the ditches. These thunderstorms, you can drive down a clay road and end up in the ditch in a heartbeat. So be safe, be kind, be generous when you can. And so I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relations will learn to accept, receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, and all of your relations, past, present, and to come, will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the wisdom, and the understanding from the universe. And as the law of three, I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to accept and receive and to share that knowledge and wisdom that you get from the universe, that it's available to each and every one of us. Thank you, my friends. Thank you, Robert V. Thank you, Teresa, Michelle, Project, love, honor, ween, everybody. And thank you, Bob, for having an almost glitch-free evening. So till next time, my friends, cheers. Stay safe. We love you, we do. And if you don't think that the angels love us, well, they do, especially when we work for the cause for humanity. Keep up the good work, my friends. Adios for now. TTFN.